We're recording now. It's the 31st of May, and they've announced that Pattison is in talks to play the new Batman. But there's a few other things. It's confirmed that Matt Reeves was writing a whole trilogy, not just one movie. That's quite exciting. Matt Reeves is the guy who did the Planet of the Apes movies, or two of them, I think.
Hmm.
So that's a huge drop of news, and I mean, I know we agree when we first heard Patterson was rumored to be playing Batman, we were skeptical, but I think I've grown on him. I think he's going to be great in the role. I don't know. I don't think he'll do a bad job. I mean, I think people were skeptical of Heath Ledger. They were skeptical of Ben Affleck. So I don't know. I think we've got to give
Well,
him a chance.
combine combine the guy with Matt Reeves, and I mean, here's the thing: everyone keeps using the same damn argument. He did Twilight.
Yeah.
God, why? Like, if that's all that sticks in your mind, I mean, one, it shows a lot more you watch Twilight than you're letting on.
I've never seen it.
Um, you're not missing
Never
anything.
want to see it.
You're not missing a damn thing. You're missing some unintentional humor, but you're not missing anything
I
good.
watched the baseball scene on YouTube and I was like, this was actually made. This isn't just some Shane Dawson video from 2004. All
Oh,
right then.
go read the books.
No, 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 no.
But everyone just keeps focusing on the Twilight shit, and it's like, guys, he wouldn't have been casted if they wanted him to act like Edward. Like, you people need to, I think, start understanding that actors are called actors for a reason. They're a
Hmm.
human being who does something called acting. I
Yeah.
don't, they wouldn't have cast him if they didn't think he could do it.
Who was the guy that played the werewolf? Because, what's his
Oh,
name?
Taylor Lautner, he can't act either.
Oh no, there was one guy who's been in Twilight and he went on to Cuckoo, which is a British comedy show, and he was brilliant in that.
All
He
the
made the
rest of
jump.
there was Taylor Lautner was the main one, and all the rest of them were just substandard guys. I don't
Taylor
remember.
Lautner, yeah, he jumped to Cuckoo, and he was really funny in Cuckoo.
Was
Like,
he?
yeah, he was
Because I
really
know
good.
they tried sticking him in some American action movie about like rollerblading or something, and it was really bad.
Well, he played the same
Or
fucking
no,
character.
they put him in a parkour movie. That's what it was.
He played the same character in Cuckoo as Andy Samberg, and I think either Andy replaced Taylor or Taylor replaced him. But either way, and I was like, "What? They look nothing alike." That was so jarring. But yeah, he was pretty good in that. So I think
Sandberg,
Patterson. I mean,
Sandberg is the guy from Lonely Island, right?
yeah. So I think.
Okay, see, you know what, real quick, guilty pleasure. I genuinely think that guy's pretty funny.
Oh, I love him. He's
I thought
great.
he was hilarious. What was that movie he did? That really Hot Rod.
Yeah, Hot Rod's funny.
Okay, Hot Rod. It's not a good movie, but it
No.
always makes me laugh.
But yeah, point is, I think Twilight isn't a good representation of anyone's acting capabilities, and I've only seen clips of it, and I
It's
hate
just
it.
it's just the most well-known thing he's done. And the funny
Hmm.
thing is, like, a lot of people got to remember, like, when you're an actor and you're like and you're looking for, like, to make your career go, sometimes that's why you have an agent. They look at you and they go, you need to do this. Like, this is, part one in a 4-book series. You're going to be part of a franchise. It's going to get your name up there. It's going to start getting you, all sorts of gigs. But nobody knew Twilight was going to be as bad as it was. And I mean, if you look back at his filmography, he only did one, two, three, four. He only did 4 movies before Twilight, so he was still in the extreme early stages of his career. The biggest role he played before that was Cedric Diggory in 2 of the Harry Potter movies. So it's like his agent, and then we're probably like, you know what? We're gonna be part of a franchise, and we'll see what happens. And it
Yeah.
all went to shit. The movie sucked, but I
Hmm.
think he says he never liked playing the role. I think he enjoyed playing the role in the first one and maybe part of the second one. But when he realized that Twilight was starting to become a pop culture joke, he was able to step back and see how stupid and lame
Oh,
the
I think
movies
he
were.
did from the get-go. Like even the first few
Even
interviews he did, he slated it.
the first, because out of all of them, obviously, I'm not saying the first one's good, but the first one
Hmm.
is probably the quote unquote best and probably the most standalone one
Least
that.
worst.
Well, exactly, because it feels like a a horrible expanded CW episode of some bullshit, some like vampire bullshit show that it could have been or something. I don't know. It was really melodramatic, all sorts of bullshit. But it's like the first one itself wasn't good, but it could have led to something good. And I think by then maybe you're right. It's just that's when he realized. But at the same time, it's like I've got to do this to build my career. And he kind of faltered afterwards. Obviously, he hasn't really done anything extremely noteworthy at all. But if you do actually want to see a pretty good movie he's in, or where he's good, watch Cosmopolis. The movie
Mm.
itself isn't that good, but he is damn good in it.
And I think you got to remember Ben Affleck played. You remember Daredevil, right? He played Daredevil in that.
Hmm.
And you want to like look at people's previous roles, the movies they've been in. Every actor's got terrible movies on their plate, of course. I mean, some have more than others. Will Smith, but at the same time, like I think you don't really get to see the range in people's career until they take these leaps, like he's doing right now with Batman. And I think this will be the start of his redemption as an actor. Like in terms of mainstream notoriety. I think he's already redeemed himself in other movies, like you said, Cosmopolitan. But I think this will be the one where he comes back into the pop culture spotlight and he says, "Look, I'm not a shit actor. Can you stop fucking treating me like one?" And this will be the point where people turn and go, "Oh, right, okay, yeah, Pattison can pull it off." And then they'll come to like him again. He'll get more roles and he'll become a better actor for it. And I think we've just got to give him that chance, just like we did Heath Ledger, although that ended a bit early, unfortunately. But
Well, and it's the funny thing with him is we're getting the usual fanboy bullshit that always gets thrown around. They don't look like this, they don't do that, they
Mhm.
came from this, and it's like, people, stop it. Every person you complain about that, almost every single one, there's always exceptions who, do let you down, like, oh, damn, they did suck. But it's like almost every single person who gets cast does what they were supposed to do. I mean, remember when Zachary Levi was cast as Shazam and everyone, oh, he can't pull it off. Look at him.
Yeah.
Shazam was awesome, and so was he.
Plus, Patterson has the jawline. Can I just say that his face is the perfectly square face for Batman? I can
And
see him putting the mask on, and I'm gonna like he buffs
yeah,
up a bit, which he will with the trainer. I can see it. I really can. Young Batman, and I think he'll be better than Christian Bale. Because let's be fucking real, Christian Bale was a terrible Batman. He was a good Bruce Wayne, but Batman, I
he
don't
was a
know.
good Batman, I think, in Batman Begins.
It was
To
after
me,
that.
I think he started turning to shit when he started doing the
I'm
gravel.
Batman.
Yeah, when he dropped to the gravelly voice, I was like, what? But like in Batman Begins, I thought he was a good mix of both because he was playing a good early Batman. But it's
Mhm.
like by the time we got to Dark Knight, like that when he's getting in the Batmobile and that one guy, what makes you different from us? I'm not wearing hockey pads. It's like, shut the hell up.
Oh, that wasn't good. No, I think Patterson does. If he does a gravelly voice, I'm done. But I hope they
Well,
don't.
I think they're just gonna go same route they did in BVS with the voice
Mhm.
modulator, like an earlier
Yeah.
version of it, or
And people give Batfleck a lot of shit because of Justice League. I think he was great in Batman vs Superman. But what you got to remember is when Whedon gets his hands on a character, even if you love Avengers and Age of Ultron, he does this little thing called Whedonizing. He takes the characters and then he strips them to the bare bones and he goes, "What do people know this character for? Iron Man's the arrogant asshole. Captain America's the dumb patriot out of time. Thor's the blonde idiot." And he just, he takes their core personality traits and he exemplifies them for humor. And he did that with Batman in Justice League. He didn't play him as a serious character. He didn't really for anybody. So I think when you look at Batman and Batman vs Superman, I don't think that's Snyder's fault. So and you can't blame Warner Brothers. Really, well, you can blame Warner Brothers, but what I mean is it's not their fault. Batman was like that. It's more Whedon's fault. And then you look at Matt Reeves, and when he gets a handle on characters, he gives them incredible depth and emotion and weight. And I really don't see him fucking this up
I
in the
mean,
same way
Jesus,
Whedon did.
like, geez, look at those last two Planet of the Apes movies.
Exactly.
They were, I mean, I love the entire. I genuinely think it's probably the best trilogy ever made.
Hmm.
But like, geez, all three of them have something that are amazing. But it's like, just wow, just all of them. Matt Reeves did such an incredible job with his characters and the stories, I thought, and everything
Hmm.
surrounding Caesar. And it's like, it shows that Reeves puts everything he's got into his characters, and I truly think he's going to do the same with Pattinson. and whoever they decide is going to be the supporting cast, including villains, Alfred, maybe a love interest. I mean, who knows? I mean, they could introduce some like small, like Selena Kyle or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So I think because a lot of the worry was, well, is it in development hell? What's going on? I think a lot of what we're seeing now with it being announced as a trilogy is that Matt Reeves has went and he's designed a whole sort of three movie like series. He's not just went away and spent the past few years making a single movie. So he's thinking about this. He's planning for a whole thing. Hopefully we don't get the Snyder problem like Man of Steel, where they gets through one movie and Warner Brothers say, "Hey, you're the new Kevin Feige." Um,
I don't.
so
Hamada does not come across like that though,
No, I
because
don't think so because they've got new leadership. But honestly, I think the
well,
fact that
that's what I'm talking. Walter
yeah,
Hamada. I don't.
yeah,
I genuinely think because basically what Hamada did was Hamada adopted Aquaman and Shazam from because those were in development when Jeff Johns and shit, I forget the other guy's name when they replaced Snyder. But
hmm
then they were fired after Justice League underperformed. But by then Aquaman and Shazam were already in development. So Hamada basically got to take credit for Aquaman and Shazam. So basically, Hamada's first real projects as executive producer, I think, is going to be Birds of Prey, to be totally honest. So
yeah,
that's when we'll see what influence he truly has over everything, and we'll see if he could be a new Feige. But I think Reeves having a name like he does, I think Hamada I think Walter Hamada is a smart enough man that he's going to be able to look at those last two Planet of the Apes movies and be like, Matt, you've got my trust. I think you've got this.
yeah. And I don't think that he's looking at this thing like Kevin Feige looks at the MCU as an interconnected universe. He's looking at this like, what movies can we make that'll be entertaining and good? I don't think he's going everything has to connect, which is nice because I think we don't want two MCUs. That would
It
just be
does.
repetitive.
It just DC has proven that it just isn't going to work.
Yeah,
It started off rocky. They tried to make it work and it just didn't. So I think at this point they're just like, you know what? Everyone gets their movies, and you know what? They'll interconnect if we ever choose them to. And if they
exactly. And
don't,
like,
then they don't. We don't care because
yeah,
we'd rather just give you a movie. And if you choose to sit back and just be like, oh, well, they were in Metropolis and we didn't hear anything about Superman, it's like, so what?
yeah,
Just
I
so
do
what?
like that because I don't want another cinematic universe. I think it's like, oh, cool, Marvel did it well, but does everything have to be a cinematic universe? I don't think so. I'm just glad other characters beyond Batman and Superman are getting the limelight for once, but I think giving Matt Reeves the reins to a whole trilogy and the fact that he's went away and spent these years building ideas for this trilogy and writing how he's going to be handling three movies, not just one. I think that tells us that we're in for a really good few years of Batman, and hopefully he uses this to introduce more obscure characters that we normally wouldn't have seen. Because I mean, personally, I think, well, they've announced the first movie will have half a dozen villains. I'm expecting it'll be like a mob family sort of deal with Penguin taking over Gotham. But what I'm really hoping is that it'll lead into the Court of Owls and the City of Owls story from the comics, because
Mhm.
Reeves has said he wants to delve into the detective side of Batman, and we really haven't had that in the movies, I don't think. And Penguin we've already seen before in Batman Returns and Gotham, which
I
is
don't. It's gonna be hard to top Gotham because I thought
Mhm.
Penguin was amazing in that show.
Penguin was brilliant in that. But I mean, because the whole thing is we've seen Penguin twice, and so we're treading on old ground here and fairly
I
recent ground
think
too.
in,
So
in
it's
my in my personal, this is just my personal opinion. I think, and it's so weird. Like this is almost like a reverse Force Awakens. It almost feels like they're gonna go the quote unquote safe route of retreading something, not necessarily saying this is going to be Batman Returns at all, but
mm,
I'm just saying I think they're using those two again almost as a launching off point um to say, these are going to be like the two big villains of the movie because those are the two announced. Were they announced or was it rumored?
no. It's rumored. It's rumored. So
Okay.
it
So we'll
might
just
not be
say
true.
we'll just say that those two are true. I think they're doing that in a safe way to give us big recognizable names, and then we can hopefully get into. I mean, personally, who would you like to see be a lead villain that we have not seen in one of these movies
Well,
yet.
that's the thing. I think that I don't think it's just going to be for safety. I think if you introduce Penguin and the other, because it's rumored there's going to be half a dozen villains, if the other ones are like Falcone and stuff, and you have the mob families, and it's all like a huge fighting for control of Gotham, you could have that first movie end with Penguin taking over the reins of Gotham, maybe becoming the mayor, and that could lead in nicely to the Court of Owls trying to control him and saying, "Look, we've always ruled Gotham. You may think you have power, but you never will. You'll always be a puppet to the Court of Owls." And I think you could really jump off and have Batman because he wants to delve into the detective side, right? So the best way I think you could do that is by having him try to uncover the secret history and the Illuminati sort of side, that sort of mythos of a group of elites controlling the government. If he
Hmm.
were to uncover that by himself and doing it through detective work rather than brute force and sheer chance and luck, I think that'd be the best way to do what Reeves wants to do. And if he's gone off and planned a trilogy, the first movie has to somehow connect to the second and the second to the third. And what better
Yeah.
way than having Penguin become the mayor or the lead crime boss of Gotham, only for the Court of Owls to come down and say, "Look, you think that you've got power now? We've always controlled those in power. You're just another puppet in a long line." I think
Now,
that'd
do
be
you
really
think
cool.
now do you think this would lead, I'm not going to say necessarily like the third movie wouldn't end, like leading into what Gotham became in BVS, but do you think these are going to be standalone or do you think these are going to be connected to Man of Steel and BVS?
I think it'd be a mistake too. I think I'd rather they just did it like they're doing Joker, where it's a separate universe entirely.
Mhm. Okay.
Maybe it's even the same universe as the Joker, but I'd rather they weren't connected. But I think it's likely they will be. And I know in Batman vs Superman they dropped that they once fought penguins, so I guess it
Well,
fits.
the biggest thing that the shit, what would you call the Snyder timeline? What do we want to call that? Uh,
The original DC Worlds
Yeah, the
universe.
original Worlds of DC. Because the biggest thing that I think, if they don't ever continue with it, that I still wish we could get an answer to, but I agree. I think it would make more sense to not have this connect anymore because then that would just be it would be too much connecting the dots in Star Wars
Hmm.
prequel territory where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, oh, this, that, blah, 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 blah.
it
So it's
restricts your
like,
freedom as well.
exactly. So the only thing I think in the original timeline that we never got an answer to that I wish we could, but I don't think we will, is Jason's suit in BVS.
Yeah.
Haha, you failed or whatever, everything's sprayed on it. So jumping off that, would you want to see any of the Robins in these,
Oh,
or
I definitely want to see the Robins. I think
now
I
do you
don't.
think we could start with Nightwing already having gone off, or do you think Pattinson is still too young to have had
I
Dick Grayson under his wing?
I think he's too young, but I would do time skips. I wouldn't have these chronological in real time. So I've always wanted more of the Robins and the Bat family explored in movies, and I think a Bat family on its own could be a subsect of a cinematic universe and really do well, where you have like
Hmm.
Batwoman and you have the Robins like Nightwing and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to see.
Can you
Um,
picture a Damian movie?
as Nightwing.
No, 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 no. Damian was the fourth Robin.
The fuck, I'm mixing them up.
Damian
Yeah,
was Batman's son with him and Talia al
yeah.
Ghul.
I'm thinking of Grayson. I
Oh.
don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not too sure because the way I would do it is I would introduce Grayson in the first movie, and then I'd do a time skip for the second one, and I'd introduce Todd, and I'd have Penguin as the mayor for a few years, and the Court of Owls have controlled him for a few years. Todd's introduced, Grayson's older. Then I'd have Grayson go off to be Nightwing in the second movie, and by the third, I'd have Todd dead. And then you can introduce Jason Todd as the Red Hood in his own movie, maybe, but. I think it's something I'd have happening in the background. I wouldn't have it be a central focus.
Right.
I think third movie, if you were to have Todd die, it would have to be the central focus. But
And
I
by that,
mean,
it would just be the hardest thing is you would either have to start off with Jason being dead and Dick as Nightwing,
mhm,
because to cram, let's just say they even did the first three Robins
yeah,
in this. How are you going to introduce one, two, three in each movie? One, two, three. That would just feel like you're just. It would almost feel like you're just replacing them one after another.
no, no, no. I'd probably have a 3 to 5 year time skip between the first and second movie.
Hmm.
Just so you can age Grayson and introduce Todd as a 15-year-old maybe. And then I'd lead into it in the third movie where it's not too big a jump, maybe a year or two at most, but I'd have it more real time than before.
Hmm.
Um, that's how I'd handle it because I really don't want them to take 9 movies to like flesh out the Robins. I think you could do the first. Yeah, I think you could do Todd and Grayson. I wouldn't do any others personally. I
Hmm.
think they're the most interesting ones and the most potential to handle their own movies.
Hmm.
So I personally wouldn't do the other ones, but you could introduce Catwoman and stuff as well.
Yeah,
But
shit. So back to what you were saying about Penguin
mhm,
and Catwoman and possibly up to 6 villains.
yeah.
What was your theory on who you think it's gonna be?
I think it's going to be the mob bosses. I think we're going to see Penguin like in Gotham, which it might be treading on recent ground, but whatever. I think we'll see what's it right? So you got Falcone Maroni, is it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you have Falcone, Maroni, Penguin, and Catwoman. That's 4 villains. I think we'll see Victor Saz appear in this, just like he is in Birds of Prey. Maybe, I mean that one's a bit in the air, but I think it would make sense if they did that. Um, and then beyond that, I mean, maybe they'll introduce Poison Ivy as Catwoman's friend. Like I
I
can
would
see them
love
doing.
that. I think she needs justice again because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people said they enjoyed Uma Thurman as her and Batman and Robin, but I personally didn't. I've never
She's
I've never found Uma Thurman attractive. So this whole time I'm like, why are these guys in are isn't Poison Ivy supposed to be like really good looking?
she's quite good in Gotham, but she's like the same age as Selena for a while. But I think in one of the later seasons they did a skip and she aged. I can't remember, but
They
she was
like
pretty
they
good.
recast her. I remember that because
Yeah,
she was one actress in like season 1 and then you see her again in like I think late season 2 or season
yeah, yeah.
3 or something. And then I'm like that doesn't look like her at all.
But she was a good character in Gotham, so I think there's potential to introduce her in the Batman movies and
Mhm.
flesh her out. I'm hoping those are the 6 villains they go with because I mean having crime family stuff would be interesting to see. Because I did like it in Gotham, and that was my favorite part of Gotham Series 1 was the crime family fighting for power, but I felt like they focused too much on Jim Gordon. I know he's meant to be the main character, but I never got why there needed to be a Batman surrogate in the show, like a, rogue crime fighter sort of deal. I think I would have loved to just see the crime families fighting for the power of the city. So I
At
think it,
least I think the only thing I hated about Gotham that ruined it for me was Jada Pinkett Smith. I hate her as an actress, so I hated every scene she was in.
uh,
I just wanted to see her get a bullet between the eyes. I was
yeah.
like, can this woman just go away? She's awful.
But yeah, I think more of a focus on the crime families fighting for it out. But then my biggest thing with this whole idea of Penguin as the villain is how does that lead into a detective focused story? I
I
don't
think
see it.
because I think the best villain for that would be Riddler, honestly.
I'd
Like a
say Court of Owls and then Riddler, but then
yeah.
yeah, because Court of Owls, it's very much like I've read the comic and it's all about uncovering the secret past of Gotham and finding out, where these people are, how they've been controlling the city for so long, and it's the biggest conspiracy of all time in Gotham.
Hmm.
So it is a huge story for a Detective Batman, and I don't see why he wouldn't do it, at least in the second or third movie. And again, Penguin's just a rumor, so hell, maybe we could make it Court of Owls in this one.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you do it with Penguin, but I would love to see a Riddler main villain because there's so many actors I think could pull off Riddler that I'd love to see in the role as soon as possible.
And
Penguin's already
real
been
quick,
done.
for Riddler, come on, who is
Mhm.
both of our fan cast that we both want?
I have two. What are you thinking?
Matt Smith.
I'm thinking Sebastian Stan and Matt Smith.
Ooh, you switched it.
Yeah, I love Matt Smith and I'd love to see him as the Riddler, but then Sebastian Stan was like, "Hey, I'd love to play the Riddler," and after seeing him in Once Upon a Time, I'm like, "Yeah, I can see him doing that. That would be pretty
Yeah,
cool."
I can see
Um,
that.
and I mean, he's getting shafted in the MCU, so hey, maybe DC will be a bit nicer to him. Because fuck me, he's been in as long as Captain America, and he's been so underused. So yeah, I think him as Riddler would be cool. But then again, Matt Smith hasn't really had the spotlight since Doctor Who, so I'd love to see him getting some love too. Maybe both of them can play Riddler and just change every scene.
That'd be
Maybe
cool.
that'll be the mystery. Does the Riddler have a twin? No. But I mean, Riddler was great in Gotham. I haven't seen Jim Carrey's Riddler personally.
Oh, you don't need to. Have you seen
No.
Jim Carrey do things like, like The Mask and Ace Ventura?
I hated the mask.
Then you've basically seen You've seen what he was. He was just
Oh.
jump around and giggle. Hee hee, I'm Jim Carrey.
No, I'd like to see a proper Riddler where he challenges Batman's intellect, because I think him and the Court of Owls are perhaps the two best ways to go about that. And the Court of Owls does have that sort of villain that he can fight through the Talon.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think I know. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Court of Owls links back to his parents at some point. It's been a while since I've read it, but there's a lot of stuff to delve into. I just don't want an origin story retread.
I
That's
don't
what.
think they're going to. I
No.
think Batman's been. I mean, Batman Begins was a good origin story. So,
Yeah.
and it's like I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I thought the way they handled it in BVS was smart, where it was just the opening credits and bam, we didn't. It was just 5 minutes of a basically expository of Bruce Wayne giving a monologue real quick, overlaying everything, and obviously setting up the Martha thing. But it
See,
was like that's all we needed. We didn't need it like
yeah.
they did and we don't need it like they did in Batman Begins again. But I mean, Batman Begins origin did need to be shown because everyone knew it, but of the first four Batman movies, we hadn't really seen it.
No, I think Batman is now in the same position as Spider-Man. We've seen his origin twice. We don't need to see it again. They can just jump straight in and have
Yep.
his character established and ready to go. I'm hoping that's what happens. Um, I'm hoping we get a little bit more in terms of side characters this time around, because I love Nolan's, but we didn't really get such a wide array of comic characters to play around with in his
We
movies.
basically all we got in the Nolan movies was
Selina.
Batman, Alfred, Gordon, and the girl and the villain. That's it.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they play around with that more. And I obviously don't want it to be a clusterfuck, but you can juggle multiple villains with relative ease as long as one of them is the main and the rest are his side characters. Homecoming showed you can do that really well.
Mhm.
And Matt Reeves is a good enough director that I can see him doing it. I mean, yeah, look at Planet of the Apes. So
I
I
agree. The
think,
guy knows. He
yeah,
know. I've got faith in him. He hasn't been working on this for 2.5 years for nothing.
yeah. So what are you hoping we'll get in a trailer? Do you want to see a lot or?
Um, in a trailer.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
oh, I'm trying to think. Do I want like a big expansive trailer or do I want
mhm.
like a teaser?
Yeah,
Um,
I want a
I want
stylized one.
Okay, I'd like a teaser to come out that shows off the tone and the style of what we're gonna get. And then I hope we get an actual real trailer because here's the thing that we've also got to remember. The trailer is going to have to be what sells people on going to see Pattinson as Batman.
Pattison.
Unfortunately, they're going to have to show him doing badass shit to get people to go see this and be like, oh, okay, the Twilight guy can act. Let's give this a watch. And
The
it's like
number one thing.
I don't think it's fair that that's what they're going to have to do, but
Mhm.
they're going to have to because
Yeah.
it's getting. I mean, people like you and me, we may not be rare saying we're excited for it, but we are in the minority of the
Uh-huh.
general population right now. So they're going to have to sell everybody else.
So I'm hoping the trailer will show us some action. Because I want action sequences with a shitload of cuts. I'm sick of those. I want to see like Winter Soldier, Daredevil kind of action with Batman.
Oh,
That would
come
be
on.
really.
That warehouse fight in BVS was
No, no,
amazing.
no. BVS was brilliant. That had some of
Okay.
the best superhero action. I'm just saying in his solo movies we haven't really
Mhm.
had great action. So I'm hoping we get like Daredevil, Captain America, Winter Soldier-esque action. I want to
Like
see a little teaser of that.
the season one hallway fight with
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah. Because I think Batman is potentially one of the best characters to do fights like that with. So I think to show Pattison being a badass and fit for the role, have an action sequence like that with him in the trailer. I'd love to, but I'd like to keep who he's fighting a little bit obscure. So maybe he is fighting some Court of Owl goons or something, but try to hide that they're Court of Owl. Um,
Well, they can
I'd
even
love,
just show him give us like a badass stylized shot or something of him like arresting criminals or something. I don't know.
yeah, that would
You
be
don't
cool.
have if they're gonna go the Court of Owls route, you don't have to show them to us.
Yeah, no, I think the number one thing I would do is maybe at the end of the trailer he comes across a statue or he's stood in front of a statue of an owl and it's like fans will get what that's teasing, but general audiences are going to be left wondering.
We'll
I
do
think
it in an ominous way where exactly like what you just said. Do it where the fans will go, I know what that is. The casual audience will be like, I'm intrigued. What
Yeah,
I
exactly.
want to go see because I want to know what that is now.
He's just like stood looking at a giant statue of the owl, the symbol of the Court of Owls, or maybe he gets a letter with the insignia, something like that to make fans go, "Who
Or
are
he
these?"
picks up one of the masks or something. Like he
Yeah,
finds one on the ground and just picks it up, holds it up, camera shows it, and then it like fades into the title or something like that.
or one of the bodies left by the Court of Owls that's got
Yep.
like their mark. Something that makes fans go, "Oh, okay, so the Court of Owls is the villain," and general audiences will be left in the dark wondering, "Well, who the hell's the villain? What's going on?" And then that also builds that detective thing where the fans want to know what's going on, and Batman will be the one that guides them to it through being a detective. And I think maybe showing Pattison as Bruce in the trailer, I think just to sell him as being able to do both would be good. Um, but I mean, you don't have to show too much. I think a little bit of action, Pattison as Bruce and Batman, and tease the villain, and that's enough. That'll sell people. That'll entice fans, and I mean, I'm gonna see it either way. So it's
Definitely.
Matt Reeves, Batman. I'm so don't have to go
I
much
would
further.
I was like, it's funny. It was like, I think the day the rumor of
Hmm.
Pattinson was announced, I think in my brain it only lasted about 10 seconds where I was like, really? But then I was like,
Yeah,
no, not really. Yes, I agree with this. Why not? Why not? He's got the
yeah.
look. And I mean, of course, all they ever use on these damn promos is like terrible pictures of him. Have you noticed that? They're
Oh, I know.
always his Twilight pictures. I'm like,
No.
guys, he doesn't look like that all the time. You know that, right?
So yeah, I think he'll pull it off. I think the villains, I'm excited to see who it really is. I'm hoping it's not Penguin and that the rumor is just that, but we'll see. I mean, what do you think? Like final thoughts wise?
Um, yeah, I agree. What I'd like to see genuinely villains wise is it's like everybody wants to see the new version of Batman face off against the new Joker. I mean, that's what everyone
No.
wants, but no, I was gonna say I don't want
Yeah.
that this time. I don't because it's not gonna be Jared Leto, and I don't think it's gonna be Joaquin Phoenix. So
No.
I don't really care if there's a Joker. I mean, I want to see villains that have not been done in these movies yet. So
No.
Court of
No.
Owls, perfect. Riddler, I'd love to actually see the Riddler because I mean, in Batman Forever, he just fought Jim Carrey. He didn't. There was no Riddler. And I don't know who would you want to see for another one? I mean, who's someone we haven't seen who you would really like to see?
I honestly think a Court of Owls trilogy is perfectly doable, and you can have minor villains thrown in, like the Riddler, rather than taking center stage, is a side villain or something. I think that you could do something like that over the course of the trilogy. So I'd love to see the Court of Owls take the center stage. I'd love to see the Riddler appear. I'd love to see Talon appear as he's the Court of Owls signature fighter. Um, I mean, I'd love to see. There's a lot. I think the Joker could make sense if they did the Jason Todd story in the third movie, but I wouldn't want to tread too much on earth ground with him.
Hmm.
Having that dynamic with Todd might shift things a little bit than the usual. The
Because
Red
I
Hood
think
gang would be
it,
cool if
it
they got teased.
if you eventually got to Red Hood and Jason Todd, though, the biggest thing is you'd almost have to abandon Court of Owls at that point because
Mhm.
that's a big enough story in itself. And
That's the problem.
I really don't like when movies start one story, stop it, begin another, finish that, and they go
No.
back to the first one. That's what Nolan's trilogy did in my eyes was they did the Ra's al Ghul story, then they did Joker, then they went right back to the fucking Ra's al Ghul story again. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so it literally, and God, I know people get pissed off at me when I say this. It literally feels like the Joker story was just all filler
Yeah. I
in
get
the
that.
overall scheme of wanting to do a giant Ra's al Ghul thing, and it's like, no, that didn't.
Mhm.
I hate Rises, so it's like not
Yeah.
much about that movie worked for me, anyways.
See, I personally would love to see Batman 1 to 3 being a Court of Owls trilogy with side villains thrown in, and Batman 4, if it's done by Matt Reeves or someone else, is the story of Jason Todd's death.
I
And
could see,
then,
I could see Pat if they do. I mean, not even if they do good. If people enjoy Pattinson as Bruce, I don't see why he'd want to quit. I mean, shit,
no,
look how long Robert Downey Jr. just did Iron Man.
No, I think Pattison might see this as like his redemption role and that he can stick it as long as possible to get his name out there as a good actor.
Mhm.
Because I mean, how many people now remember Christian Bale as Batman? I mean, well, remember's the wrong word, but he's not the iconic one.
No.
He did it for 3 movies and moved on. I think Pattison's smart enough to know he would be better off doing 3 movies, cameos, and maybe some more movies. I
Mhm.
hopefully we'll see. I hope he's good enough to be able to, warrant getting more than 3, but we'll see how it goes. But I mean, yeah, I'd say final thoughts wise, I really want to see Court of Owls because he's hinting he wants to do detective stuff. Um, and yeah, I'm excited for Patterson. I don't see why I shouldn't be.
I agree. I think he's going to do a good job. I think everyone basing all of their doubt and negativity just based on Twilight.
Hmm.
Like I said at the beginning, that proves a lot more you watch Twilight than you've really let on, and
Michael
it
B.
shows a
Jordan.
yeah,
Let's see. Yeah, Fantastic. Let's judge him on that.
yeah. I mean, it's just yeah, no kidding. And then look, now I mean, he's Creed, he's amazing, and he was Killmonger.
That was pretty
So
good.
I think basically what it says and what I'm just tired of is just everyone, you've got to stop jumping on the hate train the second somebody is cast in a part. Stop and actually think about it and don't immediately jump to their worst roles and be like, they did this, they did that. Oh, they're going to be terrible. They're
Hmm.
cast for a reason. These people are actors, guys. They're not he's like I said at the beginning, he's not going to play Bruce Wayne the same as he played Edward Cullen. Guys, you've got to go watch another movie with him in it. I mean, even if the farthest you're gonna be able to branch out and see is the 2 Harry Potter movies he was in, he didn't act like Edward Cullen in those at all either. So
Just look at an interview. He's a different person.
yeah, I mean, shit. You want to see a funny interview? You'll get 2 things out of it. You can see how good what his range is, and you can see him trash Twilight. Go watch him do some of his Twilight interviews. They're
Oh, those are
hilarious.
great. But yeah, no, thanks for watching, guys. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Patterson will be good? What villains do you want to see? And do you think Matt Reeves is the right choice for a director? And if you want to keep up to date on like the latest news, we'll probably end up talking about a lot and our thoughts on movies and all that stuff. Feel free to subscribe and follow our Facebook page.
Thanks, guys.